Welcome everyone, I am John Ryan. This is week 2 college football Predictive Playbook sports betting show. I encourage you to also check out the NFL week 1 show that I just finished recording and will be published shortly. It's already up on the channel, so take advantage of that in the free pick and the strategies. And by all means, send me comments, talk to each other. Let's become betters together. I have 28 years of experience to share. That doesn't mean I have all the answers. I have a lot of them, perhaps. But I can always learn from somebody else, and that's what these shows are all about. I want everybody, feeding off of everybody's passion and enthusiasm to find winning opportunities, and that's what we're doing. We're not finding locks. We're not finding, because they don't exist, first of all. Anybody tells you they have a lock, just, toss that aside, be respectful, and just realize that that person will learn that there are no such things as locks. And if somebody does say, oh, yeah, I won my lock, or so-and-so won their lock of the year, well, good for them. Congratulations. That just happened to be a fortuitous collision of semantics and words and results. That's all it is, folks. So enough of that. Enough of the philosophy here. Let's get right into the college football card here. Last week we talked about ranked teams going up against the betting against ranked teams in the first 2 weeks of the regular season, especially with an unranked foe. What we have here is a situation similar to the week 1 dog approach in the NFL, where the recency bias from last year carries over to the first week, and the market is not set. Vegas doesn't set the market, by the way. It's us. It's the sports bettors. Just like us in the investment community set the price for Apple or Qualcomm or NVIDIA or IBM. It's the same process. Vegas is never trying to trick you. Vegas is never trying to get you to, oh boy, that looks like a trap. I better take this side. It's not what it's all about. It may feel that way, and your intuition may make you feel that way in a positive directive, and meaning that that is leading you to a possible betting opportunity. So with that said, we're going to bet against ranked opponents in the first 2 weeks of the regular season. And lastly, before we go to the next slide here, our team is not ranked in the AP poll. And the AP poll, preseason poll, is ridiculous. And take my word for it, I've written hundreds and hundreds of pages on this every single year, if you can add them all up, talking about how the poll at the end of this year will have at least 10 teams that have not appeared in the poll right now. And that is going to be the case. Just this past week, we had 2 ranked teams really get their faces ripped off, and they are not in the poll anymore. A team like Clemson dropped all the way to number 25 in their loss against Duke, and that was a nice win for us and the clients. So, if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to give me a shot. I'm offering $50 for this week's college football, just to take a test drive for new clients only. And I think you'll see that this 28 years of experience is going to teach you a lot more than the cost of a full season subscription. So again, $50 this week. Send me a direct message with payment information, and anything else you want to ask me would be fine, or an email to johnryansports@gmail.com. Back to this here, we have now, our dog is between 1.5 and 7.5 points. So they're not ranked, but they're only a 7.5 point or fewer point dog, which then intuitively makes you think, wow, oh boy, I guess they're trying to trick me into taking, they want me to take the favorite, I guess, because it looks too good to be true. Well, that's true. That might be actually correct. But you can see that in this set of parameters, 15 and 26 straight up for 37% outright winners. That's not the end of the world, folks, because when you have a 4-point dog, it's basically about a plus 300, 325 money line dog. And when they win, that's like winning 3 in a row versus betting a favorite that wins. You understand what I'm saying? If not, send a comment, I'll answer it. 28 and 13 against the numbers, 64% since 2008. I apologize for the noise in the background if you hear it. The building next to me is doing some tree cutting and getting limbs cut off, and I didn't know they were going to do it, so I apologize, but hopefully you can hear me. So here we have the last slide here, and if our dog is at home and the total in the game is greater than 50 points, which is right on the cusp of where the pivot is for playing overs and unders. Like if you blindly do that in college football, you want to generally be in that 54 point area and higher, but I just rounded it off to 50 here for common sense purposes. These dogs then go 12-9 straight up, 57%, 14-7 against the number, 67%, 15-6 against the spread. Actually, I should say 15-6 over for 71%. My apology there on that graphic. And then here it instructs us to consider bets on NC State plus 7.5 over Notre Dame. Folks, I wouldn't be surprised if that actually becomes an upset. Miami of Florida plus 4 over Texas A&M. What's wrong with that line too? I mean, that clearly Texas A&M is supposed to be really good, and Jimbo's on the hot seat, et cetera, but the hype is all over Texas A&M. So I think here, if you look at the public betting, it's probably all over Texas A&M. And as anybody who's followed me for any stretch of time knows, you want to be on the opposite side of these betting extremes, especially when there's 75% of the number of tickets going on a game as opposed to the money percentage. So the number of tickets get that high, it's irrational exuberance, and it would direct me to a play on Miami. Then we have Texas Tech plus 6.5 over Oregon. And after Oregon scored what seemed to be 200 points in that game last week, they deserve to have a little bit of a wake-up call and realize that maybe they shouldn't put teams like that on their schedule, perhaps. I'm just saying. And then lastly, Washington State plus 6 over Wisconsin. So that is based on that system. But now I'm going to show you something that goes in stark contrast to the Washington State pick on this system. So not do we bet just based on a system. There's a few that I have that I've presented previously that, yeah, you can do that. And they work, and they work well. But I have predictive models that I've built over 28 years. I use them in trading in the stock market and commodities markets, and did have a nice career on Wall Street. So I've taken that knowledge and applied it to sports betting because I think the processes that are involved in the markets are exactly the same and very similar, if not exactly the same. So I'm not saying Wall Street is a gamble. That's a long-term investment. What we're doing, investing in 3 hours of human sport events. Okay, that's the difference. So Wisconsin at Washington State, 7:30 p.m. September 9th, 2023. Lines: Wisconsin minus 6, totals 59 points. Let's see what my model says now. Wisconsin to score 28 or more points, and Wisconsin to gain at least 6 yards per play. So there's about an 80% probability based on my models, which are not always right, but 80%. That means it could be 20% wrong too. 80% chance that this is going to happen. So how does Wisconsin do when they score 28 or more points and gain 6 or more yards? Well, we can see here that Wisconsin is 24-2 straight up, 22-3-1 against the numbers since 2006, 8-0 straight up and against the spread since 2018. So that, based on my predictive models, which is my piece of tool, it's my tool that is paramount to everything else. The supporting systems are exactly that. They support the play that the models are suggesting we take. So I wanted to show that disparity as a handicapping tool where, okay, that system said to take Washington State, but now we have the model here, and the model takes precedent over everything. Especially in a situation like this where there's a high probability that Wisconsin's going to score 28 or more. And folks, that is a high-powered offense, plain and simple. They started out a little bit slow last week, but then they scored on 6 or 7 straight possessions, I believe it was. And granted, the competition was a little lax there, but it wasn't all that lax. They were struggling a little bit in the first half. But when they get the motor running, this offense is going to put up a lot of points, and they're going to score more than 28 points in nearly every single game that they play this year. So that bodes well for them against the spread, especially if they get installed as a dog somewhere in their season. Also, 24-2 straight up with a line of 6. Let's say hypothetically Washington State gets out, they get the opening kickoff, and they go right down the field and score. Well, guess what? You're going to be able to get a line pretty darn close to pick 'em. And even if it's at 2.5, that's pretty good line knowing that they're 24-2 straight up. So if the line does go to like 2.5 or lower, assuming that Washington State would score first or retake the lead during the first half of action, you're going to be able to get an exceptional opportunity knowing in the background that if Wisconsin meets these performance measures, we have a really good chance of winning that in-game money line bet on the Wisconsin Badgers. So that'll take care of the show for today. I do want to show you this. This is my 10-unit plays. $400 gets you the next 365 days. All sports, you can see that they have hit 68%, as documented by many, many sites that I put these on, 56 and 26. If you buy the package of $400 for the next 365 days, you save $1,700 instead of buying them individually. So I'm trying to get more people involved with these. Again, education, communication, dialogue. We learn from each other. And it's a very good investment in yourself of $400 to get on board these plays if you just want to get the best plays that I release. And there's nothing wrong with that. Also, with college football, we're doing $600 today for the whole college football and NFL seasons. That's a $1,995 value. You can pay $600 today. Or if you want to take a test drive for a month, $250 right now. Covers you all the way through September 30th for all college football and NFL games, including the 10-unit max 5% best bets. I started college football off at 9-3 against the spread in week 1. And you can see the results as you go down the board, including Major League Baseball, in which we won a 10-unit play over Reds Mariners last night. And that game went over the total before the end of the 6th inning. So that'll conclude today's show, and I really appreciate you watching. If you have any questions at all, leave it in the comments section. And I just can't wait for tonight, Thursday night. It's going to be fun to watch, see if Mahomes can actually orchestrate a win without Kelsey. And I don't know if Kelsey's going to play yet or not. I guess he's pushing to play at this very moment. But I don't know. 80% Kelsey versus 100% is probably about 2.5 points in the point spread. But nevertheless, let's enjoy that. Make sure you get over to watch the NFL show, which does have information about tonight's game on it and analytics that I think you're going to enjoy. But remember, always with my shows and myself and the brand John Ryan Sports, always bet with your head, never over it. And may all the wins be yours.